All right, welcome to the micro lesson on parliamentary procedure. Today, our learning objectives are why you should use parliamentary procedure, learning the basics of Robert's Rules of Order, developing developing methods to set effective agendas, making common motions and rules for discussion. We'll cover some of that, and then making meeting minutes effective. So why do we use parliamentary procedure? So it really is in place to ensure fair and orderly meetings by providing a structure for the process of discussion, debate, decision making, really guaranteeing that every member has an equal opportunity to be heard while protecting the rights of both the majority and the minority among the group. So it really provides those rules to move the meeting along, ensuring equal treatment, and providing a common routine to conduct business while controlling that communication process. The basics of Robert's Rules of Order. So Robert's Rules of Order was actually created by a man named Henry Martin Robert, who was an officer in the Army, and he was actually asked to conduct a meeting, and he realized he didn't know how. And so he went on to study parliamentary law and created Robert's Rules of Order. And so this really is a roadmap to help move the meeting along and expedite business to ensure legality and then protect the rights of the minority like we discussed. So the group usually discusses one thing at a time. There's those basic rights to vote and be heard. Everybody can be recognized, and usually the chairperson remains unbiased. Sometimes they can be used to break a tie. How to set an effective agenda. So these are all the main points of an agenda: the call to order, reading and approving the minutes and treasurer's report, the officers' reports, committee reports, any old business or unfinished business, and then new business comes after that with the announcement and the adjournment. And so, I could ask the question of how are your agendas set for your meetings? Is this pretty typical for you guys? It really is just a written order of business to conduct a meeting. And one of the questions is, can you add things to the agenda at the beginning of the meeting? And since this is an open meeting, it really depends. If you think it's something that the public would want to share their opinion or discuss it and come to the table, then I would say you want to make a note of that and put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Addressing the chair and using the gavel. So with the summary sheet that goes with this, it talks about using the gavel. Most of this is pretty formal. So in a larger setting is when you'll see people address the chair in a little more formal manner by saying Mr. Madam President, Mr. Madam Chairman. But typically in a small group setting, you don't really see that quite as much. Okay, so let's discuss making a motion. So just going through this very quickly, you notice in number 3 where the member says, I move. You see some people will say, I motion to, and really it should be, I move. Now, the parliamentary police is probably not going to be knocking on your door. However, the correct procedure would be for a member to say, I move. We'll just say to buy a trailer. Someone will say, I move to purchase a trailer. That motion is seconded by a member where they will say, I second that motion. And if there is no second, that motion dies. And then the chairman will usually restate that motion by saying, so-and-so moved to purchase a trailer, so-and-so seconded that motion. And then this is where the chairman will ask for discussion. The chairman should ask for discussion 3 times. This is used as an opportunity to give everybody a chance to voice their opinion. I think there are times when people forget to ask for discussion, and it really is a good thing to try to remember to ask for discussion because it gives everybody the opportunity to voice their opinion. After discussion, the chairman may say, upon no further discussion, we are going to put this to a vote, and he or she will ask all those in favor, say aye, opposed, say no, and as long as a majority agree, the chairman will announce the result of that vote by saying motion carried. If there is not a majority, then motion failed, and those are things that can be provided in the minutes. So making an amendment, I'm not going to go through this very deeply because it is very, it can be confusing. So you always can reach out to us for further clarification. But making an amendment, this is offered during the discussion of the main motion. So if someone makes a main motion, someone can make a motion to amend the motion by adding more words to and changing what that motion is. And so if they decide to do that, it does need a second and it needs to be voted on. So you basically need to vote to approve the amended motion. Once that is approved, it turns into the main motion and it is voted on again. Okay? Common motions and discussions. So these are really things that help move the discussion along. Sometimes the discussion gets very lengthy and it goes back and forth and it kind of can get frustrating. And so there's different things you can do when maybe we just can't agree or we're not quite ready to vote. And so you can put it on the table. And so you can table it for the next meeting. And that does need to be voted on. So you will need a motion and a second and voted on to put that on the table. Referring to a committee. So there might be a time when you want to put a committee together or you want to look for more information and come back. You can vote to get more information from a committee. A call for previous question. This is really when someone can say, okay, I want to end the debate. I want to motion to call for question and just put it to a vote. A point of order. This is when someone can hold the chairman or the board accountable for the rules and the order of the meeting. So if the rules are being broken, such as we're not following the agenda, someone can call for a point of order, and it really puts things back on the chairman to put the meeting back in order. Reconsidering. So this is done by someone that has voted in favor of a motion. They can actually come back and motion to reconsider what has just passed. And so again, this needs to be done by someone that has voted in favor of the motion. And once it's done, they can come back and motion to reconsider it. And then rescinding. So rescinding is when the meeting is over. Sometimes if you feel like you don't have enough information, maybe you discussed it too quickly and decided things too quickly without enough information, you can come back to the next meeting and maybe rescind, make a motion to rescind a purchase that you made if you haven't purchased it yet. But you can make a decision. If you've made a decision, you can come back and rescind that. Now, these are things you want to know and kind of look it up and see if a second is required for these, if the motion is debatable or amendable, and what kind of a vote it needs. But these are just some things that are also good to know that once decisions have been made as a board, if you feel that you need to come back because the decision was made too quickly or the decision or there wasn't enough information, maybe new information has come to light, you can come back to the board and see if we can vote for a reconsideration or a rescind. So there are different types of votes if a quorum is present. So there's the typical voice vote. That is something we see all the time. A standing vote and a show of hands. Sometimes that happens in a larger group when you don't know if a majority has agreed or not. And then you'll count the hands or count how many people are standing. A secret or paper ballot or written vote. Sometimes that is nice for like nominations. Or a roll call, which is basically where you go around the room and each person says their vote. Effective meeting minutes. So these are also known as meeting notes taken by the secretary, and they really are a point of reference and for the members of the organization, for the public, since it is public record, minutes really should be very easy to read. You want to just record the exact wording of the motions and actions, but also just record the facts. So you don't want to put in just opinions that were said. You don't even need to include all the discussion. If someone says, please note this discussion in the minutes, then you can put a brief summary in there, but otherwise you don't need to put any discussion or anything in there, just the facts and the motions and the actions taken on them. And you want to make sure that you put in there who made a motion, who did the second. You did call for discussion. Maybe you want to put in there was no discussion. You can say all were in favor and the motion was carried. You can say, 2 members approved, 3 members did not, and so the motion failed. So you want to make sure that because this is an official record, that you put everything in the minutes that you think you need to. Okay, so let's review from today. So parliamentary procedure is a proven method to move the meetings along and maintain order. They really help expedite business and really ensure that legality, and it protects the rights of the majority and the minority. An effective agenda gives the board a direction on what action needs to be taken at the meeting. Properly making motions and using the gavel and keeping meetings on track. And then business can only be conducted if a quorum is present and the meeting time and place has been posted. And the meeting minutes should reflect the business that was conducted as well. So here's just some resources, some websites that you can go to if you get stuck or if you get into a debate and you're looking for more guidance, you can go to these websites. There's also a book called Robert's Rules of Order in Brief that is very helpful as well. All right, here is just some discussion for you guys to think about. So the first one is, does your SED board meetings run smoothly and orderly? How does your SED use parliamentary procedure? Are there things that you learned today that you could incorporate into it, things that would make things conduct business a little more easily? Does your SED have a protocol for setting meeting agendas? Are you following that open meeting laws? Are there any changes or policies that you think should be implemented to better follow parliamentary procedure? All right, here are all the contacts that you have. Feel free to contact any of us by email or phone number. We can sure help you with any questions you have. And I sure hope this helped you today, and feel free to reach out at any time.